ghostfacehorror.com.
Hello, Sydney. Welcome to the frequency.
Something's wrong, I can feel it. It's that 3117 chill. 6 minutes of carnage. The signal didn't fade. We aren't just taking chances. We're rewriting the DNA. I'm beginning to feel like a phantom in the machine. Look, I was gonna go easy, keep the crime scene clean, but I'm bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-S, forensic art at the flow. I'm the shape in the shadows, watch the dark orange glow. Knives coming at you with that supernatural speed. Superhuman innovator, planting every dark seed. What I gotta do to get it through to you? I'm the legend in the mass, devastating the audience. It's a monumental task. I'm a titan, I'm a giant, I'm the ghost on the dial. Broadcasting from over, take care, it's been a long while. I'm the reason they're shaking, I'm the glitch in their head. I'm 96, big 6, the voice of the dead. I don't need a label or a fake industry deal. I'm a renegade rebel spinning the cinematic wheel. They wanna cancel the name, let them try to stop the fire. I'm the king of the basement, climbing higher and higher. I'm beginning to feel like a horror rock god, locked in God mode. Studio 3117, watch the system explode. From the front to the back, let the heavy bass nod. I'm a monster, a myth, I'm a lightning rod. A horror rock god, I'm in God mode. Paving the road where the blood is flowed. Breaking the rules, shattering the code. Carrying the culture while the heavens erode. It's the horror you're assuming in the booth with the spirits. Hear the subwoofers booming. It's the 90s heaven, they boost the genre's foundation, mixed with the digital pulse of a new generation. I'm the truth in the silence, I'm the shadow on the wall. I'm the one who stands tall when the other guys fall. Forensic with the bars, audit every single line. Studio 3117, the design is divine. Beginning to feel like a horror rock god, locked in God mode. Studio 3117, watch the system explode. From the front to the back, let the heavy bass nod. I'm a monster, a myth, I'm a lightning rod. A horror rock god, I'm in God mode. Paving the road where the blood is flowed. Breaking the rules, shattering the code. Carrying the culture while the heavens erode. Step into the gallery of the icons of fear, where the legends are born and the exits disappear. I'm the silent white man staring back from the porch, the undying flame that's still holding the torch. I'm the dream weaver's glove with the razors for fingers, the smell of the sulfur that permanently lingers. I'm the hockey mask dripping at the edge of the lake, the ultimate price that the visual will take. I'm the voice on the phone asking what is your favorite, the soul-tearing puzzle if you're daring to brave it. I'm the chainsaw that's screaming through the Texas heat, the ancient dead rising with the words you repeat. I'm the killer doll with the life in its eyes, the hidden perspective in the world of disguise. Audit the nightmare, examine the soul. Studio 3117 has total control. I'm beginning to feel like a horror rock god, locked in God mode. Studio 3117, watch the system explode. From the front to the back, let the heavy bass nod. I'm a monster, a myth, I'm a lightning rod. A horror rock god, I'm in God mode. Paving the road where the blood is flowed. Breaking the rules, shattering the code. Carrying the culture while the heavens erode. We don't fear the facade, standing against the grain, taking the path that's odd. I'm the lightning, I'm the thunder, I'm a god. Horror rockin' god. Ghostfacehorror.com.
Hello, listeners. You've just drifted off the safe map and spun the dial straight into the absolute edge of the frequency, where the static really bites. You're listening to the Horror Rock God Show. Tonight's track is a real scream, listeners. We've all been there, trapped in a dead-end sea of red taillights on the highway. Total gridlock. Your brain is melting, and you decide to trust that little glowing rectangle in your hand for a shortcut through the black acreage. You think you're perfectly safe inside your rolling metal fishbowl. But tonight, the satellites aren't looking for you. You're on my map now. And out here on the logging roads, there are no detours, only dead ends. Let's drop the needle on a little ditty I like to call the back road frequency. The sudden transition from the paved highway to the dirt road is violent enough to rattle the dashboard plastic. Garrett doesn't flinch. He grips the steering wheel tighter, his broad shoulders shifting beneath his black leather jacket as he forces the SUV over a deep, muddy rut. In the dim glow of the instrument panel, his sharp jawline is set with the kind of stubborn, overconfident determination that usually gets him exactly what he wants. He looks out at the pitch-black wall of pine trees closing in around them, a smirk cutting through his athletic features. He's going to beat the highway gridlock, even if he has to carve his own path through the graveyard to do it. "Relax," Garrett says, his tattooed right arm flexing against the wheel as he corrects a minor drift. "It's a bypass. We'll be back on the interstate in 10 minutes. In the passenger seat, Elena pulls the collar of her oversized vintage band tee up over her chin, trying to swallow the sudden spike of anxiety hitting her chest. She reaches up with a trembling finger, subtly pushing her wire-rimmed glasses back up the bridge of her nose. She spent the last 8 hours at the rock festival trying to make herself as small as possible in the back of the crowd, completely overwhelmed by the noise. Now, trapped in the front seat, the shy girl feels entirely too exposed. She looks at her reflection in the dark side window, her dark curly hair already spilling out of its messy bun, and wishes she had just stayed home. "Garrett, my phone completely lost the map," a sharp voice calls out from the back. Vance doesn't look up from his lap. His pale skin is illuminated by the harsh blue glare of his screen, casting deep shadows across his sharp features. He pulls the hood of his all-black techwear hoodie lower over his slicked-back dark hair, his thumbs flying across the glass in a futile attempt to force a single bar of cell service out of the wilderness. He bought into the shortcut app the second it popped up, trusting the algorithm implicitly. But the glowing rectangle in his hand is rapidly turning into a useless brick. "See? I told you this was sketchy," Tinsley whines, her voice dripping with irritation as she shifts uncomfortably in the back seat. She leans forward, the heavy festival glitter on her high cheekbones catching the dashboard light, while her long platinum blonde extensions brush against the headrest. She glares at her perfectly manicured acrylic nails, completely miserable now that the dust from the logging road is beginning to coat her cropped denim top. "Turn around, Garrett. It smells like dead trees out here." "Oh, come on, Tins. Live a little," Brody chuckles from the middle seat, completely unfazed by the sudden drop into isolation. He leans back, his tall, lanky frame practically folding into the upholstery. He tugs the brim of his backward snapback hat lower over his shaggy mane of light brown hair, his bloodshot hazel eyes half closed as a permanent easygoing smirk plays on his lips. Adjusting his neon tie-dye shirt, he treats the entire pitch-black detour like an adventure. It's like a horror movie. Maybe we'll find a creepy cabin. The joke lands with a heavy, uncomfortable thud. Suddenly, the fading festival music on the dashboard completely cuts out. A violent, ear-splitting burst of white noise blasts through the car speakers, making Elena jump in her seat. Garrett reaches out to slap the power button, but the radio defies him. The digital display on the console begins to glitch, the numbers spinning wildly before locking onto a frequency that shouldn't exist out here. The chaotic static instantly drops away, smoothing out into a crystal-clear, dead-silent void. Then that raspy, decaying cackle cuts through the cabin air like a rusty hacksaw. Hey! You should have listened to the girl with the glitter, Garrett. Turn the volume all the way up, kids, because you're driving straight into a grave situation. The headlights cut through the gloom, illuminating a rusted metal awning tilted at a dangerous angle. There are no corporate logos here, no bright neon signs, just a single flickering fluorescent bulb buzzing above two ancient cracked gas pumps that look like they haven't held fuel since the 90s. Garrett slams the SUV into park, the tires kicking up a thick cloud of red dust that settles over the gravel. See? Signs of life, Garrett says, adjusting his black leather jacket and flashing an overconfident grin to the cabin. He knocks his knuckles against the steering wheel, his tattooed arm tense. I'll go in, grab a map, or ask whatever local is working the counter how to get back to the 75. Garrett, this place looks like a literal chop shop, Tinsley snaps, her nails digging into the leather seat. In the dim, buzzing light of the gas station, the festival glitter on her high cheekbones looks sharp, almost like scales. She nervously tugs at her cropped denim top, her long platinum blonde extensions shifting as she glances out at the dark, looming woods surrounding the station. Don't leave the car. Man, relax, Tins, Brody chuckles, though his voice is a little tighter now. He adjusts his backward snapback hat over his shaggy mane of light brown hair and shifts his lanky frame in the neon tie-dye shirt. Maybe they've got snacks. My eyes are burning. He rubs his bloodshot hazel eyes, trying to maintain his easygoing smirk, but his gaze keeps darting to the pitch-black tree line. Vance doesn't even look toward the building. His sharp features are cast in an eerie frozen mask, completely illuminated by the stubborn, blinding blue glare of his phone screen. He pulls his all-black techwear hoodie lower over his slicked-back dark hair. Still zero service. The GPS app is totally locked up. We shouldn't even be stopped here. In the passenger seat, Elena feels a cold sweat break out. She pulls her knees up to her chest, her wire-rimmed glasses fogging slightly as her breathing quickens. Her dark curly hair, messy bun completely falling apart now, spills over her shoulders. She stares through the windshield at the storefront. Inside, the windows are caked in grime and the interior is pitch black. There's no clerk. There's no light. Suddenly, the dashboard radio cuts through the silence again, the static screaming like a buzzsaw before dropping into that maniacal high-pitched cackle. Pulling over for a little premium assistance, Garrett? Too bad the attendant is currently out of order. Look at you kids, trapped in a real fuels paradise. You think you're looking for directions, but you just pulled into the final rest stop. Before anyone can react to the radio, the single buzzing fluorescent light above the pumps violently shatters, plunging the gas station into absolute suffocating darkness. from the back of the SUV, a heavy metallic thud echoes from the roof of the car. Brody looks over at Tinsley, the cockpit's dim dashboard lights catching the sudden, uncharacteristic seriousness in his bloodshot hazel eyes. He looks past her platinum blonde extensions and the festival glitter on her cheekbones, seeing the genuine, unvarnished terror in her face. He's had a massive, unspoken crush on her since they were sitting across from each other in elementary school cubbies, back when she didn't wear cropped denim tops and he didn't hide behind a permanent stone smirk. He clears his throat, his lanky frame straightening up as he tugs nervously at the hem of his neon tie-dye shirt. For the first time all night, the lazy joke is completely gone from his voice. I'll go, Brody says, his voice shaking just enough to betray the bravado he's trying to summon. He reaches up, reversing his snapback hat so the brim faces forward, as if preparing for a fight. He forces a weak, reassuring smile directly at Tinsley, desperately trying to lock eyes with her in the dark cabin. Garrett needs to stay behind the wheel in case we gotta dip fast. I'll just look around the side of the building, see if there's an outdoor breaker or an old payphone. Don't sweat it, Tins. I got this. Tinsley stares back at him, her manicured acrylic nails frozen against the leather seat, her mouth slightly open in shock that the guy who usually treats life like a gag is suddenly volunteering to step into a pitch-black void. Elena turns completely around in the passenger seat, her wire-rimmed glasses slipping down her nose as her eyes widen behind the lenses. Brody, no! Did you not just hear the radio? The guy, whatever it is, he literally just said your names. Don't go out there. It's probably just some local pirate radio station messing with tourists, Elle, Brody lies, his hand trembling slightly as his fingers find the door latch. He gives Tinsley one last lingering look, hoping to see a hint of something more than just panic in her eyes. Be right back. The door clicks open. The thick, humid night air hits the cabin, heavy with the smell of rotting pine needles and old oil. Brody steps out onto the gravel, his sneakers crunching loudly in the dead silence left by the shattered light bulb. The heavy thud on the roof doesn't repeat, but as Brody takes his third step toward the dark facade of the station, the driver's side mirror catches a shadow smoothly slipping down the back hatch of the SUV, completely silent. Ooh, a night in shining tie-dye. Ain't that sweet, listeners? He's trying to win the girl's heart before it stops beating. But I'm afraid Brody's little elementary school crush is about to get a major recess. Watch your step, Brody boy. Out here in the dark, love doesn't just hurt, it bites. Outside, Brody stops just near the rusted pump. Hey! He calls out into the blackness, his voice echoing off the metal awning. Anybody out here? The sound of Brody's sneakers crunching against the gravel fades into the heavy South Georgia night air as he approaches the storefront. Through the dirt-caked glass, his shaggy mane of light brown hair is barely visible under the faint dashboard glow behind him. He grabs the rusted handle of the front door and gives it a hard, desperate yank. It's locked, Brody yells back, his voice strained and muffled by the heavy humidity. He turns toward the vehicle, his bloodshot hazel eyes wide as he glances nervously at the pitch-black tree line. He gives Tinsley one last wave, trying to keep up appearances. I'm gonna check around the side for a back door. Stay in the car. He rounds the corner of the building, his neon tie-dye shirt disappearing into the shadows of the rusted metal awning. 1 minute passes, then 2. Inside the SUV, the silence is suffocating. Garrett keeps his hands wrapped tight around the steering wheel, his broad shoulders tense beneath his black leather jacket, his sharp blonde jawline rigid as he stares at the empty corner where Brody vanished. "He should have been back by now," Tinsley whispers. The bravado is entirely gone from her voice. She bites down on a perfectly manicured acrylic nail, her long platinum blonde extensions shaking as she stares out the window. The festival glitter on her high cheekbones catches the dull, flickering blue light from the dashboard. "Garrett, go get him, please." Vance doesn't look up, but his thumbs have completely stopped moving. The harsh blue glare of his phone screen illuminates a face pale with rising panic. He pulls his all-black techwear hoodie tighter around his head. "I told you we shouldn't have stopped. The GPS is completely dead. We're blind out here." Elena sits frozen in the passenger seat, burying her face into the collar of her oversized vintage band tee. She pushes her wire-rimmed glasses up her nose, her eyes darting to the dark side mirror. Her dark curly hair has completely spilled out of its messy bun, framing a face twisted in terror. She can hear her own rapid breathing echoing in the cramped cabin. 3 minutes. 4 minutes. The dashboard radio violently erupts into life again, the static tearing through the speakers like a chainsaw through bone, followed by that horrifying, raspy, high-pitched cackle. Time flies when you're having vile, doesn't it, kids? You're all sitting in your little tin can, waiting for the bell to ring. But I'm afraid Brody just failed his final exam. He went looking for the back door, but he found the trap door instead. Hey, Tinsley baby. I hope you didn't keep him waiting too long in elementary school. Because out behind the dumpster, Brody is currently breaking up. Ah ha 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 ha. Right as the radio host finishes his punchline, a loud, wet thump hits the roof of the SUV directly above Tinsley's head, followed by the slow, rhythmic sound of something heavy dragging across the metal roof toward the back hatch. "Garrett, put it in drive! Move the car!" Tinsley screams, her voice cracking as she presses her back flat against the passenger door. She flinches, her eyes glued to the ceiling lining where that heavy, wet dragging sound is slowly shifting toward the back hatch. Her long platinum blonde extensions shake violently, shedding tiny flecks of festival glitter onto her cropped denim top. "We have to go! We aren't leaving Brody!" Elena fires back, twisting around in the passenger seat. She grips the headrest so tight her knuckles turn white, her wire-rimmed glasses slipping down her nose. Her dark curly hair is completely wild now, framing a face pale with frantic terror. "We can't just leave him out there in the dark!" "Elena, he's gone! Did you hear that sound?" Vance stammers, the blue light from his phone screen washing over his wide, bloodshot eyes. He yanks his all-black techwear hoodie down over his face as if he could disappear into it. "The app, the radio, the roof, none of this makes sense. Garrett, step on the gas." Garrett doesn't hit the gas. He sits frozen, his broad shoulders squared beneath his black leather jacket, his knuckles white against the steering wheel. But he isn't looking at the dark windshield, and he isn't looking at the roof. His sharp blonde jawline is twitching as he glares directly into the rearview mirror at Tinsley. The ego of the alpha leader is a dangerous thing, especially when it's bruised. "What did that psycho on the radio mean?" Garrett barks, his voice dangerously low, cutting through the panic in the car. He turns his head slightly, his tattooed right arm tensing as he grips the gear shift but refuses to pull it back. "Brody? Keeping you waiting since elementary school? What the hell is he talking about?" "Garrett, are you serious right now?" Tinsley cries out, looking at him in utter disbelief as another soft metallic thunk echoes from the rear hatch window. "There is something on the roof, and you're asking about that?" "Did he have a crush on you?" Garrett demands, his overconfident demeanor warping into an ugly, jealous anger. He slams his hand against the steering wheel. "The guy has been riding in my back seat for 3 years acting like my boy, and he's hitting on my girlfriend behind my back?" "He never hit on me!" Tinsley screams, tears finally cutting tracks through the glitter on her high cheekbones. "He didn't have to say anything, Garrett. He's liked me since the 3rd grade. Everyone knew." "I knew," Vance mutters from the corner, his voice trembling as he stares at his useless phone. "Literally, everyone did." "Yeah, Garrett, we all knew," Elena says, her voice shaking but furious as she tugs the collar of her oversized vintage band tee. "Brody would do anything for her. That's the only reason he just walked out into that dark parking lot, because he wanted to keep her safe while you sat here flexing your jaw. Now put the car in gear." Garrett stares at them, completely blindsided. The tough guy illusion drops for a split second, revealing a dumbfounded, angry kid who realized he was the last one to get the joke. "Hee, look at that. The green-eyed monster just crashed the party. Cack, 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 cack." "Don't worry, Garrett. You might have been the last to know, but you're definitely not the last to go." Ha 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 ha. Before Garrett can slam the SUV into drive, a pale, mud-streaked hand violently smashes against the back hatch window, leaving a long smear of dark blood right across the glass. It's Brody. His shaggy mane of light brown hair is matted with dark, thick blood, and his backward snapback hat is completely gone. Through the dirt on the glass, his bloodshot hazel eyes are wide, glassy, and tracking her with a desperate, pleading vacancy. His neon tie-dye shirt is shredded at the shoulder, soaked through with a deep crimson that looks black under the dull dashboard lights. He smears his palm against the glass again, his fingers twitching, leaving a second trail of wet gore. He's breathing, his chest heaving in short, agonizing hitches, but he's completely broken. Whoever or whatever caught him behind the gas station didn't finish the job. They used the rusted awning to drop him right onto the roof like a piece of dead weight. "Brody!" Tinsley finally screeches, her manicured acrylic nails scratching frantically at the headrest as she tries to climb into the back seat. The festival glitter on her high cheekbones is smudged with sudden tears. "Garrett! He's alive! He's right there! Open the back!" Before anyone can move, Brody's strength gives out. His blood-slicked fingers lose their grip on the glass. With a sickening wet friction, his torso slides down the back hatch, his face leaving a final horrific streak across the rear window before he disappears from view, landing on the gravel behind the SUV with a heavy, hollow thud.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Elena gasps, shoving her wire-rimmed glasses up her nose as she presses her hands against her mouth. Her dark curly hair falls completely over her face as she shakes in the passenger seat, staring into the side view mirror at the crumpled neon shape lying motionless in the dirt. Her oversized vintage band tee feels suffocatingly tight. We have to get him inside. Garrett, unlock the doors! Vance violently shakes his head, pulling his all-black techwear hoodie down so low it almost covers his eyes, the blue glare of his phone casting a ghoulish light on his pale, sweating skin. No! No, don't unlock anything! If he fell off the roof, then whatever put him up there is standing right on top of us. Garrett stares at the rear-view mirror, his anger instantly evaporating into pure, unadulterated terror. His broad shoulders sag beneath his black leather jacket, and his sharp blonde jawline trembles. His tattooed right arm hovers over the gear shift, frozen between the urge to run and the guilt of looking at the boy he just spent the last 2 minutes trashing. Hee! Looks like Brody just took a little tumble. Talk about a drop-dead gorgeous entrance. Cat, 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 cat. He wanted to get closer to you, Tinsley. But I don't think this is what he had in mind. He's lying out there in the red dirt, kids, and the clock is ticking. Do you open the door and let the air in? Or do you put it in reverse and give him a second helping? Outside, through the rear window, the SUV's red brake lights illuminate the thick cloud of dust. In the crimson glow, a massive, towering silhouette slowly steps out from the shadow of the rusted gas pumps, walking deliberately toward Brody's twitching body. Garrett's jaw tightens so hard, the bone looks ready to snap through his skin. That overconfident alpha leader ego, the one that usually gets him exactly what he wants, switches from petty jealousy to a desperate need to redeem himself in front of Tinsley. He looks at his tattooed right arm, grips the door handle, and squares his broad shoulders beneath his black leather jacket. Garrett, no! What are you doing? Tinsley screeches, her acrylic nails digging into his sleeve, but he tears his arm away from her grip. I'm not sitting here like a coward, Garrett barks, his voice cracking with a dangerous mix of anger and fear. I'm getting him. Garrett, look behind the car, Elena yells from the passenger seat, her wire-rimmed glasses sliding completely off the bridge of her nose as she presses her face against the glass. Her dark curly hair whips around her face as she points frantically at the side mirror. There's someone out there! He ignores her. He has to prove he's the toughest guy in the dark. Garrett slams the driver's side door open and steps out into the thick, humid South Georgia night air. The crunch of his boots on the gravel sounds deafeningly loud in the dead silence of the abandoned station. In the red glare of the SUV's taillights, Garrett marches toward the back of the vehicle. Brody is still twitching in the dirt, his neon tie-dye shirt soaked black with blood. But as Garrett reaches down to grab Brody's collar, the towering silhouette steps fully into the crimson brake light glow. Garrett freezes. Up close, the tough guy illusion vanishes. The shadow towering over him is massive, holding a heavy, blunt instrument that gleams in the dark. Garrett tries to raise his fists, tries to man up and swing, but his athletic build is nothing compared to the raw, heavy drive force waiting for him in the woods. Garrett wanted to be the alpha, but he's about to become the beta decay. He stepped out to save his boy, but he's just putting himself on the chopping block. Through the blood-splattered rear window, Tinsley, Elena, and Vance watch in absolute horror as Garrett is effortlessly overpowered and slammed face-first against the glass. A sickening smear of dark crimson wipes across the windshield, obscuring their view as Garrett's body drops heavily into the red dirt next to Brody. The driver is down. Inside the cabin, the air turns to pure, screaming chaos. Tinsley is hyperventilating in the back seat, her perfectly manicured acrylic nails scratching at her own face, smearing the festival glitter across her cheeks in a mask of total hysterics. Vance has completely dropped his phone, the screen shattering on the floorboards, casting a useless, flickering blue fracture across his pale skin as he buries his face in his all-black techwear hoodie, sobbing uncontrollably. They are leaderless. The alpha is face down in the dirt, but Elena, the shy girl who spent the whole night trying to disappear into her oversized vintage band tee, the one who always let everyone else make the decisions, feels something snap. Survival instinct takes over the introversion. "Move!" Elena screams, a raw, piercing sound that doesn't sound like her at all. She doesn't hesitate. She throws her petite frame over the center console, her wire-rimmed glasses flying off her nose and landing somewhere in the footwell. She doesn't care. She can see well enough to know the towering silhouette is moving toward the open driver's door. Her dark curly hair whips wildly around her face as she plants her sneakers on the floorboards, shoves her denim jacket sleeve up, and grabs the steering wheel. The engine is still idling, humming like a trapped animal. Elena slaps her foot down on the brake, rips the gear shift backward into drive, and stomps the gas pedal straight to the floorboards. The SUV's rear tires spin violently on the loose gravel, kicking up a massive wall of red dust and rocks that pelt the rusted gas pumps. The vehicle fishtails, the back end swinging wide, missing the towering killer by mere inches before the rubber finally catches traction on the dirt road. The heavy metal chassis launches forward into the pitch black, leaving the ruined gas station and the broken bodies of Garrett and Brody swallowed by the dark behind them. Elena grips the wheel at 10 and 2, her knuckles white, staring through the windshield into the high-beam headlights that cut a frantic path through the encroaching pine trees. In the back, Tinsley and Vance are still crying and screaming in a deafening wave of panic, but Elena doesn't look back. She just drives. Suddenly, the dashboard console blinks, and that raspy, decaying cackle cuts right through their tears like a rusty blade. Hee-hee! Look at the quiet one go. Elena just went from the passenger side to the suicide seat. You really put the pedal to the metal, girlie, but you can't outrun the airwaves. You took the wheel, Elena, but do you actually know where this road is taking you? Turn up the volume, survivors, because the next turn is a real cliffhanger. Ha 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 ha! As the radio host laughs, the dirt road ahead suddenly hits a sharp blind fork in the trees. Both paths look identical, twin throats of absolute suffocating blackness swallowed by the South Georgia pines. With Tinsley's shrieks ringing in her ears and Vance sobbing into his all-black techwear hoodie, Elena doesn't have time to think. She trusts her gut, screaming as she violently jerks the leather-wrapped steering wheel to the left. The SUV swerves on two wheels, the chassis groaning under the sudden shift in weight before slamming back down onto the rutted dirt track. Elena keeps her foot pinned to the floor. 1 mile, 2 miles. The engine roars, a heavy-drive mechanical beast fighting the loose gravel. Her dark curly hair escapes its messy bun entirely, whipping across her face, but she doesn't dare take a hand off the wheel to push it away. She stares blindly through the windshield, her vision slightly blurred without her wire-rimmed glasses, relying entirely on the high-beam headlights slicing through the dust. They're escaping. They're actually making distance. Then, at exactly the 3-mile mark, a violent metallic bang shatters the cabin air. The driver's side front tire doesn't just go flat, it completely disintegrates. The steering wheel violently wrenches itself out of Elena's grip, spinning madly as the metal rim of the wheel digs straight into the deep red dirt. "Hold on!" Elena shrieks. The SUV fishtails wildly, sliding sideways down the narrow logging road. Tinsley screams as her long platinum blonde extensions slam against the side window, and Vance is thrown across the back seat. Elena pumps the brakes, wrestling the dead weight of the vehicle until it finally grinds to a halting, smoking stop, tilted heavily into a ditch on the left side of the road. The engine sputters and dies. The high beams flicker, casting weak, shuddering light into the thick wall of trees ahead. The only thing still fully alive is the dashboard console, glowing a malicious, static-laced red. The voice cuts through the dead silence of the stalled car, a raspy, screeching shriek of manic delight. "Hey! Talk about a flat-out disaster!" Elena took a left, but it looks like she's got nothing left in the tank. You thought you could outrun the broadcast kids, but you're just a couple of sitting ducks in a ditch. Hey, Vance, buddy, why don't you check that phone again? Oh, wait, you can't, because out here on the back roads, the only thing with a clear signal is the Grim Reaper. Ah! Inside the suffocating tilted cabin, the smell of burning rubber and hot oil begins to seep through the vents. Vance completely snaps. The shattered blue screen of his phone lies forgotten in the floorboard dirt as he violently claws at the strings of his all-black techwear hoodie, pulling the fabric over his face as if he could block out reality. He begins to hyperventilate, his chest heaving with sharp, ragged gasps that quickly devolve into a frantic, sobbing panic. "We're dead! We're dead! The grid is totally gone! There's no signal! We're gonna die out here!" Vance chokes out, his body shaking so hard he slams his head against the backseat window. "Vance, shut up! Shut up and look at me!" Tinsley screams, grabbing him by the shoulders. Her manicured acrylic nails dig straight through his heavy sleeves, her long platinum blonde extensions wildly tangled as she forces him to face her. Tears have completely ruined her makeup, but the terror has hardened into an aggressive desperation to survive. "Get it together! Look at me! Breathing isn't gonna help us if you keep screaming!" Elena twists completely around from the driver's seat, her dark curly hair falling forward into her eyes. She reaches back, placing a firm, trembling hand over Vance's clenched fist. "Vance, listen to my voice. We can't stay in this ditch. The smell of the burning rubber is getting worse, and the car is a giant target. We have to walk. We have to follow the road." Her quiet, steady introversion, the very thing that made her hide at the festival acts like a cold splash of water. Vance's hysterical sobbing slows to a jagged wheeze. He blinks through the shadows, his pale features slick with sweat, and nods weakly. Elena pushes her door open against the tilt of the ditch. The thick, humid night air hits them again, smelling of scorched metal and pine. One by one, they crawl out of the tilted SUV. Tinsley clutches her cropped denim top against the sudden chill, her festival glitter catching the dull, dying glow of the dashboard display. Elena takes the lead, her oversized vintage band tee swallowing her petite frame as she steps onto the dark, loose gravel of the left fork. They begin to walk, their sneakers crunching softly in the suffocating blackness. They make it maybe 50 yards from the wreckage. Then the ground beneath their feet begins to vibrate. At first, it's just a low structural tremor, a deep frequency that rattles their teeth before they can even hear it. But within seconds, a massive mechanical rumbling roars to life somewhere back down the road, right where the forks divided. It's a heavy drive, unholy thrum of a high-displacement engine, completely unthrottled and hungry, echoing through the dark acreage like thunder. Behind them, through the thick cloud of dust hanging over the abandoned SUV, two blinding heavy-duty headlights snap open in the distance, illuminating the trees in a harsh, ghostly white. The roaring engine guns its throttle, accelerating hard right down their path. "Run!" Elena shrieks, her voice cutting through the mechanical thunder, shaking the ground beneath their sneakers. They sprint down the center of the narrow logging road, their legs pumping as the blinding heavy-duty headlights behind them erase all the shadows, casting their elongated reflections far ahead into the dirt. The air is suddenly thick with the suffocating stench of diesel exhaust and burning oil. The blinding white glare gets closer, hotter, illuminating every jagged rock in the road with terrifying clarity. It's right on top of them. In a split-second survival reflex, the group splits. Elena violently throws her petite body to the left, her oversized vintage band tee catching the wind as she tumbles headfirst into the sharp pine needles and dense brush of the ditch. On the exact opposite side of the road, Tinsley dives to the right, her long platinum blonde extensions whipping through the air and her festival glitter flashing one last time in the high beams before she crashes into the thick undergrowth. But poor Vance isn't so lucky. Blinded by the pure panic and the suffocating glare in his rear view, Vance freezes for one fatal second, trying to pull his all-black techwear hoodie over his head as if the fabric could shield him from a 3-ton wall of accelerating steel. He stumbles on a loose rut in the center of the track, his sneakers losing traction in the loose gravel. He looks back just in time to see the massive rust-caked grille of the heavy drive Nightmare swallowing the space between them. There is a sickening, heavy mechanical impact. Elena and Tinsley press themselves flat into the dirt on opposite sides of the road, covering their heads as the massive rust-caked truck abruptly screeches to a halt, its heavy brakes groaning loudly in the dark. The thick stench of diesel exhaust fills the air. For a long, terrifying moment, the only sound is the wet, heavy thrumming of the idling engine. Then, a heavy metal door creaks open. Through the weeds of the ditch, Elena watches in paralyzed horror as a towering silhouette steps down from the cab. The killer walks deliberately to the front of the truck, reaches down, and effortlessly hoists Vance's limp body off the gravel. Walking to the rear of the vehicle, the silhouette flings Vance into the truck bed with a hollow metallic thud, landing right on top of the silent broken shapes of Brody and Garrett. The killer shuts the tailgate, then slowly turns around. The blinding high beams catch the towering figure from behind, throwing a massive predatory shadow across both ditches. The killer begins to scan the wood line, tilting his head as if listening for the sound of breathing. Panic snaps the girl's paralysis. At the exact same second, both Elena and Tinsley scramble to their feet and sprint blindly into the trees, but in completely opposite directions. Elena tears deeper into the dark acreage on the left, her dark curly hair snagging on brambles, while Tinsley flees into the thick pines on the right, her festival glitter entirely swallowed by the shadows. They are completely on their own. You split the map, ladies, but out here in the deep woods, there's no strength in numbers anymore. Elena's running left, Tinsley's running right, and the dark is closing in on both sides. Turn up the volume, survivors, because the solo tracks are about to begin. The massive truck door slams shut again, and the heavy drive engine roars as it shifts back into gear, waiting to see which girl it hunts first. Tinsley sprints blindly through the thick brush, her long platinum blonde extensions snagging violently on low-hanging branches and tearing away in jagged clumps. The heavy festival glitter on her high cheekbones catches the stray broken shafts of moonlight filtering through the dense canopy, making her look like a frantic glowing target in the pitch black. She clutches her cropped denim top against her chest, her perfectly manicured acrylic nails slicing into her own palms as she stumbles over exposed root, crashing hard into the damp earth. She doesn't scream. She forces her hand over her mouth, her chest heaving in short, jagged gasps as she pulls herself behind the massive trunk of an old, rotting pine tree. The silence of the deep woods is suffocating, broken only by the sharp metallic chirp of cicadas. Tinsley presses her back against the rough bark, tears streaming down her face, erasing the last remnants of the music festival layout from her mind. She is entirely alone. Then the heavy, deliberate crunch of boots on dry pine needles begins. It's slow, measured. The killer isn't rushing. He knows exactly which direction she ran, tracking the broken branches and the faint glitter left behind on the brush. The towering silhouette moves through the shadows like a force of nature, a heavy, blunt instrument dragging lazily along the forest floor, casting a long, terrifying shadow in the moonlight. Tinsley squeezes her eyes shut, trying to shrink into the darkness, her survival instinct warring with pure, unadulterated terror as the footsteps stop just on the other side of the tree. Tinsley wanted to stand out in the festival crowd, but out here in the deep acreage, the spotlight finds you whether you wanted to or not. You spent the whole night running from the truth, Tins, but you can't run from the hunter. A massive gloved hand suddenly reaches around the trunk of the tree, gripping the bark right above Tinsley's head. As the massive gloved hand clamps onto the bark right above her head, Tinsley doesn't just freeze. She explodes into a desperate, chaotic scramble. Adrenaline obliterates her exhaustion. She kicks off the base of the rotting pine, her sneakers sliding on the slick needles as she throws herself backward into the darkness.
Ah, no! Get away from me!
She shrieks, the sound tearing raw from her throat, shattering her own rule of silence. She scrambles on her hands and knees through a dense thicket of briars, ignoring the sharp thorns tearing at her cropped denim top and scratching her arms. Her long platinum blonde extensions rip completely free as they snag on a low branch, leaving a patch of synthetic hair dangling in the moonlight like a ghost. She forces herself up to her feet, running blindly, her breath coming in ragged, sobbing gasps. The festival glitter on her high cheekbones is entirely caked in red clay mud from her fall. Behind her, the slow crunch of footsteps instantly changes into a heavy, braking charge. The killer isn't stalling anymore. The towering silhouette crashes through the undergrowth with brutal, heavy drive momentum, snapping branches like toothpicks as he closes the distance. Tinsley breaks through a line of thick pines and hits a sudden steep drop-off, the muddy bank of a dried-up creek bed. She loses her footing, tumbling sideways down the ravine and landing heavily in the cold, wet silt at the bottom. She tries to push herself up, but her ankle twists violently under her weight, sending a sharp spike of agony up her leg. She looks up at the ridge, completely trapped. The silhouette steps out over the edge of the ravine, towering against the pale moonlight, the heavy instrument catching a cold, white glint. The silhouette slides down the muddy bank, his massive frame blotting out the moon as he stands over her. Tinsley drags herself backward against the clay wall of the creek bed, squeezing her eyes shut as the shadow falls completely over her. Elena doesn't look back when the distant, muffled scream cuts through the South Georgia pines from across the road. She knows what it means. She pushes her knees higher, her sneakers tearing through the thick brush as she sprints deeper into the dark acreage. Her oversized vintage band tee is snagged and damp with sweat, and her dark curly hair is a wild, tangled halo around her face. She runs until her lungs burn like fire, breaking through a dense line of oak trees into a cleared, overgrown yard. Standing in the center of the clearing is a dilapidated two-story farmhouse, its paint peeling like dead skin under the pale moonlight. Every survival instinct tells her to run to the front door and pound on it, but the quiet, analytical mind that usually keeps her in the background takes over. She stops, forcing her breathing to slow. Screaming for help in the middle of nowhere is a trap. She needs to know what she's walking into. Keeping low to the ground, Elena stealthily creeps around the perimeter of the house, her eyes darting to the dark, cracked windows to get a layout of the structure. She rounds the back corner near a rusted metal shed, and the air completely leaves her lungs. Parked in the shadow of the house is the massive rust-caked truck. A wave of icy terror washes over her. Her hands fly to her mouth, pinning a screech of pure panic behind her teeth. The killer is already here. This is his home turf. Her legs feel like lead, but she forces her feet to move, drawing closer to the vehicle like a moth to a flame. Step by agonizing step, she makes her way up to the rear quarter panel. She grips the cold, dirt-smeared edge of the truck bed and slowly pulls herself up to look inside. In the pale, ghostly moonlight, the reality of the night hits her full force. Squeezed into the metal bed are the limp, motionless bodies of her friends. Brody's shredded neon shirt is stained a uniform black. Vance's all-black techwear hoodie is matted with dirt and gore, and Garrett's broad shoulders are completely still beneath his black leather jacket. They look like a horrific pile of discarded mannequins. Elena stares, tears finally spilling over her cheeks, her chest heaving as she prepares to back away into the woods. Then, A low, wet, agonizing sound cuts through the quiet. Garrett's chest violently heaves. His body flinches, his boots scraping sharply against the metal tailgate as his fingers twitch in the dark. He's alive. The sudden ghostly movement in the pile of bodies breaks Elena's resolve. The terror overloads her brain, and a piercing, unvarnished scream tears from her throat into the dead night air. The piercing scream still hangs in the humid air as Elena covers her mouth, her eyes wide with terror behind her missing glasses. She freezes, expecting the towering, shadow-cloaked killer to burst through the screen door. Instead, the door squeaks open on rusted hinges, and a frail, bent silhouette steps out onto the rotting wooden porch. The yellow porch light illuminates an elderly man, his skin mapped with deep wrinkles and his thin white hair haloed by the bulb. He's wearing a faded flannel shirt that hangs loosely off his bared, bony shoulders, and he leans heavily on a wooden cane. He blinks squinted eyes against the darkness of the yard. "Hello? Who's out there?" the old man calls out, his voice thin, papery, and trembling with the fragile uncertainty of someone completely disconnected from the nightmare in the woods. He takes a slow, shaky step toward the edge of the porch, raising a hand to shield his eyes. "Is someone hurt?" "I heard a scream." In the back of the truck, Garrett flinches again, his fingers dragging weakly against the metal tailgate as another low groan escapes his lips. Elena stands paralyzed in the space between the truck and the porch. The killer isn't here. He's still miles back in the deep acreage, dealing with Tinsley. Ooh, look at that, listeners. Elena thought she found the big bad wolf, but it's just a tired old sheep. The real terror is still out in the pines, finishing his solo. Which means the clock is ticking for the final girl. You've got a helpless old man on the porch, a bleeding quarterback in the truck bed, and a monster on the way home. What's the play, Elena? The elderly man takes another frail step down the porch stairs, his cane crunching softly in the dirt. "Young lady, is that you by the truck?" Elena's heart hammers against her ribs as she looks from Garrett's twitching hand in the truck bed back to the frail old man next to the porch. The analytical part of her brain short-circuits under the sheer weight of her desperation. He looks so innocent, so fragile. She takes a frantic step out of the shadows of the rust-caked truck, her oversized vintage band tee covered in dirt, her dark curly hair wild as she holds her hands up in a plea for mercy. "Please," Elena gasps, her voice breaking as she runs toward the porch steps. "Please help us. There's someone out in the woods. He hurt my friends. They're in the back of the truck. We need an ambulance. We need—" "Oh, you poor thing," the old man says, his voice a papery, comforting soothe as he steps off the bottom riser. He raises his wrinkled face into the moonlight, his eyes crinkling with what looks like profound pity. He extends his shaky, frail arm, reaching out toward her. "Come here, child. Come inside where it's safe. My boy will be back any minute, and he'll fix everything." Elena freezes mid-stride. "My boy?" Before the implication can fully register in her mind, the old man's fragile demeanor completely vanishes. The frail, trembling facade drops to reveal a mask of pure, inherited malice. With a terrifyingly sudden burst of strength, he hoists the heavy wooden cane high into the air, his wrinkled face contorting into an ugly, yellow-toothed grin as he swings the thick handle straight at her head. "You shouldn't have been snooping around the acreage," the old man screeches, his thin voice spiking into a frantic, crazed cackle. Whoosh! The cane cuts through the humid air, missing Elena's temple by a fraction of an inch as she instinctively ducks and throws her weight to the side. The momentum carries the old man forward, his boots slipping in the red clay. Elena doesn't run this time. The introverted girl who spent the whole night hiding feels a raw, primal surge of pure survival adrenaline. As the old man stumbles, trying to recover his balance for a second swing, Elena lunges forward. She grabs the thick wooden shaft of the cane with both hands and yanks it violently downward. The old man gasps, his weak grip slipping off the polished wood. Elena uses the momentum to drive her shoulder straight into his chest. With a hollow grunt, the old man goes flying backward, crashing heavily into a stack of rusted metal milk crates by the porch steps. The crates come tumbling down around him in a deafening metallic clatter, pinning his frail legs to the ground. He groans, coughing as he tries to push the heavy metal off himself, his vicious grin replaced by a grimace of defeat. Elena stands over him, chest heaving, tightly clutching the stolen wooden cane in her trembling, white-knuckled hands. Elena thought she was getting an elder care assistant, but she just got a lesson in domestic violence. From the deep woods behind the house, the faint, distant sound of branches snapping signals that the killer is returning from his hunt. Elena doesn't hesitate. As the old man struggles against the heavy milk crates, spitting curses up at her, she hoists the heavy wooden cane high over her shoulder and swings it down with a sickening crack against the side of his head. His eyes roll back and his frail body goes completely limp in the dirt, silenced. She drops the splintered cane and sprints back to the rust-caked truck. Pulling herself up onto the rear tire, she leans over the edge of the truck bed and grabs the collar of Garrett's black leather jacket. Garrett, shut up!" she whispers violently, her voice a razor-sharp hiss. She reaches down and presses her mud-streaked hand directly over his bloody mouth. "He's coming back. You have to stay perfectly quiet or we both die. Do you hear me?" Garrett's glassy, bloodshot eyes flutter open. The alpha male swagger is entirely gone, replaced by the hollow gaze of a terrified kid. He blinks through the tears and dirt, feeling the urgency in her grip, and gives a weak, microscopic nod beneath her palm. Elena drops back down to the gravel. Scanning the yard, she dives beneath the deep shadow of the porch stairs, pressing her back flat against the cold brick foundation, her dark curly hair completely blending into the blackness. A second later, the wood line fractures. The towering silhouette steps fully into the yellow glow of the porch light, exhaling a heavy, rhythmic breath through his mask. Slung over his massive shoulder like a sack of dead weight is Tinsley. Her long, platinum blonde extensions drag through the red dirt, and her cropped denim top is shredded and stained with clay. The killer walks directly to the heavy iron hoist hanging from a massive oak tree branch beside the truck. With a callous, heavy drive shrug of his shoulders, he dumps Tinsley onto the hard ground. She hits the dirt with a breathless grunt, rolling over onto her side. The killer ignores her for a moment, turning his back to grab the thick rusted chains and hooks dangling from the hoist mechanism. As the cold metal chains rattle, the impact with the ground jolts Tinsley back to consciousness. The festival glitter on her high cheekbones is smudged with dried blood as her eyes snap open. She looks up, realizing she is trapped beneath the shadow of the farmhouse. Before she can scramble away, the killer turns, wraps a heavy chain around her torso, and pulls the lever on the manual winch. The hoist jerks violently, lifting Tinsley's body completely off the ground, leaving her dangling in midair beneath the oak tree. The sudden, agonizing pressure of the chains snaps her fully awake. She begins to kick her legs wildly against the empty air, her painted acrylic nails clawing frantically at the rusted links holding her aloft.
No! Please! Somebody help me!
Tinsley screams, her voice echoing raw and piercing across the quiet South Georgia yard.
Help! Someone, please!
She's hitting the high notes now, listeners. But with Elena hiding in the shadows and Garrett playing dead in the flatbed, who is going to step up to cut her down? From her hiding spot beneath the porch, Elena watches Tinsley swing wildly in the air just 10 feet away. The killer stands directly beneath the hoist, reaching into his heavy belt for a massive glinting blade, completely distracted by Tinsley's screams. Elena presses her spine flat against the cold bricks beneath the porch, her breath catching in her throat as she watches the towering silhouette step away from the swinging, screaming Tinsley. He isn't looking for anyone else yet. He has a ritual to complete. The killer strides deliberately to the back of the rust-caked truck. With raw, unyielding strength, he reaches into the flatbed and drags out the limp, broken shapes of Vance and Brody. Their bodies hit the gravel with heavy, dull thuds. He grabs them by their collars, hauling them across the red dirt toward a massive, soot-blackened stone fire pit sitting in the center of the overgrown yard. With a callous toss, he heaves the tech-dependent skeptic and the neon-clad festival boy into the deep pit. He douses the pile in accelerant, and with a single sudden spark, a violent column of orange and yellow flame explodes into the night sky. The sudden intense heat waves ripple across the yard, casting dancing ghoulish shadows against the farmhouse wall and illuminating the thick cloud of pine smoke rising into the canopy. Through the cracks in the wooden porch steps, Elena watches the firelight reflect off her friend's final resting place, her eyes wide with a paralyzed, silent horror. But the nightmare isn't over. The killer turns away from the roaring flames, his shadow stretching long and menacing across the dirt. He walks back to the truck bed. He doesn't just blindly grab the last body. He pauses, tilting his head as his masked gaze locks onto Garrett. He knows. He's known the entire time that the star athlete was still drawing breath. With a brutal yank, the killer hauls Garrett out of the truck. Garrett lets out a sharp, agonized cry as his broken body hits the ground. The killer grips him by the front of his black leather jacket, effortlessly dragging him across the gravel to the base of the massive oak tree, dropping him right beneath the shadow of the swinging, screeching Tinsley.
Garrett! Oh my God, Garrett!
Tinsley shrieks from above, twisting wildly in the rusted chains of the hoist as she looks down at him, her face streaked with tears and clay mud. Garrett looks up at her weakly, his fingers clawing at the dirt, completely trapped in the killer's crosshairs. Just 10 feet away from the oak tree, the elderly father begins to stir by the porch steps as he regains consciousness from Elena's strike. The killer stands over Garrett, his massive blade glinting in the bright orange glow of the fire pit, completely focused on his captives. Elena is still hidden under the porch stairs, the darkness shielding her, but the roaring firelight is rapidly eating away at the shadows. What does she do now that the killer has her last two friends grouped together right in front of her? The killer looks up at Tinsley, ensuring she is watching every single second before he reaches down and grabs Garrett by the hair. With brutal, unyielding strength, he forces Garrett's head back, exposing his neck to the firelight.
No! No! Please stop! Don't do it!
Tinsley shrieks from above, twisting frantically within the rusted chains of the hoist. Her voice cracks, completely breaking under the weight of her terror as tears wash clean tracks through the mud on her face. The killer doesn't hesitate. With a swift, cold motion, he drives his blade forward and ends the star athlete's life right there beneath the oak tree. Garrett's body goes completely limp, his final choked breath swallowed by the roaring of the flames nearby. The killer callously drops him into the dirt, leaving him motionless at the base of the hoist. Tinsley lets out a raw wail, her legs kicking weakly in the empty air as she stares down at her lifeless friend. The killer slowly wipes the blade on his heavy canvas trousers, his masked head tilting upward as his attention turns fully to Tinsley, who is still swinging helplessly in the bright orange glow of the fire pit. Just 10 feet away, beneath the porch steps, Elena is completely trapped in the shadows. The elderly father is starting to sit up, muttering in the dirt near her hiding spot, and the killer is completely focused on the hoist. The killer slowly walks up to Tinsley, his heavy boots crushing the dry pine needles beneath the swinging hoist. Tinsley screams, her voice raw and cracked, kicking her legs helplessly against the cold metal chains as the glinting blade rises in the bright orange firelight. He is entirely ready to finish her off. Suddenly, the shadows beneath the porch erupt. Elena comes charging out into the roaring light of the fire pit, her petite frame fueled by pure, unadulterated survival adrenaline. She isn't hiding anymore. In her hands, she hoists a massive, jagged landscaping rock she pried from the dirt. She drops her weight onto the struggling old man, pinning him flat against the gravel with her knees.
Hey!
Elena shrieks at the top of her lungs, her dark curly hair wild around her face. The sound cuts through the crackle of the flames. The killer stops, his arm frozen in midair. Slowly, deliberately, he tilts his head and turns his masked gaze toward the porch steps. Elena hoists the heavy rock high above the old man's face, her arms shaking with white-knuckled tension.
You let Tinsley down right now!
She yells, tears streaming down her face, her voice a fierce, desperate command.
Let her down, or I swear to God I will bash this rock straight into his skull.
For a long, agonizing second, the yard falls dead silent. The killer just stares at her, a towering silhouette framed by the burning fire pit. Then, the killer turns completely away from Elena. He doesn't step back. He doesn't hesitate. With a brutal, unyielding sequence of motions, he drives the massive blade into Tinsley's abdomen multiple times. Tinsley lets out a sharp, agonizing cry of pure pain, her body convulsing within the chains as the light rapidly drains from her eyes.
No!
Elena screams, a sound of absolute heartbreak and horror. The realization hits her like a physical blow. The monster doesn't bargain. The heavy rock slips from her trembling fingers, thudding harmlessly into the dirt beside the groaning old man. Paralyzed by the sheer brutality of the failure, Elena turns on her heel and runs as fast as her legs can carry her, fleeing the yellow porch light and tearing blindly back into the pitch-black safety of the woods. Behind Elena, the heavy metal door of the truck slams shut and the high-displacement engine roars to life, its blinding high beams snapping on to pierce through the thick pine trees right behind her. Her vision blurs and her oversized vintage band tee is drenched in sweat and red clay dirt. Just as her knees threaten to buckle, the thick brush suddenly gives way and she tumbles out of the pitch-black woods and onto the hard, cool surface of a paved road. Far down the asphalt, a pair of headlights cuts through the South Georgia night, rapidly approaching her position. Panic spikes in her chest. Assuming the worst, Elena scrambles backward, preparing to flee straight back into the terrifying safety of the dark woods. But as the vehicle draws closer, she stops. The blinding white glare doesn't belong to the massive rust-caked grille of the killer's heavy-drive truck. It's a small, modern SUV. Desperation overrules her caution. Elena lunges forward, stepping directly into the headlights and waving her arms frantically to wave down the driver. The SUV screeches to a halt, the brakes groaning softly. The driver's side window smoothly rolls down, revealing a clean-cut man in his mid-30s. He looks at her wild, mud-streaked appearance with a mix of shock and concern. "Can I help you, miss?" he asks, his voice calm and steady. Elena's chest heaves as she grips the doorframe, the words spilling out of her in a breathless, terrified rush. "I have to get out of here. Please, I'm being chased." The man doesn't hesitate. He unlocks the doors and says, "Well, get in." Shedding a massive sigh of relief, Elena yanks the door open and climbs into the warm, safe cab of the SUV. The door slams shut, instantly sealing out the suffocating, terrifying sounds of the deep acreage. As the vehicle hits the gas and accelerates down the highway, she slumps into the passenger seat and gives him just a quick, trembling rundown of her friends and the absolute nightmare they just went through in the pines. The man listens quietly, nodding with a reassuring, sympathetic expression. "It's all right now," he says softly, his tone completely soothing as he steers the SUV through the dark. "My dad and brother live right up the road a piece. We will call for help there." Hearing those words, Elena starts to feel a genuine sense of relief for the first time all night. The phantom sound of the killer's engine fades from her ears. She finally lets her guard down, laying her head back against the headrest and closing her eyes, letting the smooth motion of the car wash over her. "My dad and brother?" The words echo in the silence of her mind. Dad, brother, right up the road. A cold, paralyzing dread instantly freezes the blood in her veins. Her eyes snap wide open, staring straight ahead into the dark highway as a horrific realization locks her jaw. She slowly turns her head to look at the profile of the man sitting next to her. "Is it?" Elena's voice drops to a terrified, trembling whisper, the question hanging in the air like a death sentence. "Is it a 2-story farmhouse?" Ah, talk about a family plan. Elena thought she found a highway to heaven, but she just booked a front row seat to the family reunion from hell. You can sprint through the deep acreage until your lungs burn, kids, but out here in the black patch, every single road loops right back to the slaughterhouse. Elena closed her eyes, hoping for a rescue, but she just opened them to the final verse. You've been spinning the dials with me on this long, wicked night. You watched the curtain go up, you watched the fire pit burn, and you heard the final girl ask the only question that matters. Now, it's time to let the wreckage simmer. We're dropping the needle on the very last track of the night. A little parting gift to keep you company while you look out your window and wonder if those headlights in your driveway are friendly. This one goes out to Vance, to Brody, to Garrett, to Tinsley, and to poor blind Elena, wherever she is right now.
Shoveled over shoulders, I feel it in me, so overwhelmed. Oh, this pressure center rising, my life overturned, unfair the despair. All these scars keep ripping open. Feel me from the skin, from the rain. Does it make you happy now? From the bone, from myself. Are you feeling happy now? In this hole that is me, a life that's growing feeble. In this hole so limiting, the sun has set all darkens. Buried underneath, hands slip off the wheel. Internal pathway to contention. Peel me from the skin, tear me from the ride. Does it make you happy now? Peel me from the skin, tear me from the ride. Does it make you happy now? Tear me from the bone, tear me from myself. Are you feeling happy now? I'll be happy. I'll be happy. I'll be happy. Are you feeling happy? This hole that is me, left with the heart exhausted. What's my release? What sets me free? Do you pull me up just to push me down again? Peel me from the skin, tear me from the ride. Does it make you happy now? Tear me
If you've got a taste for the macabre and your soul is hooked on the heavy drive adrenaline of the deep acreage, you don't have to wander in the dark alone. This is just the opening set. You've been locked into the Horror Rock God Show, your premier midnight frequency for the heaviest tracks and the bloodiest scares on the dial. We're spinning the nightmares you can't tune out, tracking the slashers and auditing the tropes that keep you up at night. But hey, if you need to feed that horror fixation when the radio goes to static, I've got the ultimate digital slaughterhouse waiting for you. Point your browsers straight toward the dark heart of the net at ghostfacehorror.com. That's where the real forensic investigation happens. Bleeding-edge horror analysis, franchise deep dives, and all the latest news from the genre's front lines. It's managed and curated by the best in the business to keep your horror instincts razor sharp. Hit the site, join the crew, and never miss a single beat of the terror.